No FanDuel, no DraftKings, no problem. Fliff Social Sportsbook is basically a real sportsbook, but legal almost everywhere. And people have been demolishing this book, including myself, going up $2,600 in the month of January just on Fliff alone. And there's a specific way people are betting on this app to find this success, and I want to teach it to you. It's called Plus EV betting, and in simple terms, it's where you can actually find a projection or odds on this sportsbook that is so far off the rest of the market, you're getting an edge by placing it at these odds or at this projection. Essentially, the price you are getting this play at does not match the true fair odds percentage or odds percent to hit this play actually has of hitting. And to help you find these Plus EV plays, you need a website like Daily Grind Fantasy that is going to help you compare sportsbooks lines and odds directly back to Fliff and their odds and projections to find the best value on the board. Tons of people that are using Daily Grind Fantasy to crush Fliff and other different DFS apps shared their success from January, like this guy Tim here, up $12,000 just in the month of January, plus EV betting using Daily Grind Fantasy tools, and you can see Fliff is one of the books he was absolutely crushing. Moving on to Trent, up over $8,000 using Daily Grind Fantasy. Izzy with a really solid month of 7.1k in profit, also crushing Fliff, as you can see. And even Owen, he's up $600 this month sports betting using Daily Grind Fantasy off just $7 units. So no matter the unit size, you can utilize Plus EV betting in Daily Grind Fantasy, and he is also crushing Fliff, as well as many other users that have posted results on Twitter at Daily Grind Fantasy's Twitter account. All right, let's hop over to Daily Grind Fantasy and talk about how it works, how to find a Plus EV bet, and maybe what you should be looking for when you are scanning the market using Daily Grind Fantasy. Well, this is the optimizers for Daily Grind Fantasy. Here is the Fliff optimizer, but you can see they have a bunch of different apps where you can find Plus EV bets on those apps. And what it does, it pulls all of the sportsbook information into one place at one time for you to be able to easily, quickly, and efficiently scan the sportsbook market to find these Plus EV bets and gain an edge on whatever book or DFS app you'd like to. In this case, Fliff. Let's start at the very top here. DeAndre Ayton, over 28.5 PRA, points, rebounds, and assists at minus 120 odds. It's what's being recommended to take on Fliff via the Daily Grind Fantasy optimizer here. You can see that scanning the entire sportsbook market, we are getting clearly the best odds across the market. Now, average odds across the sportsbook market is about minus 141. Sure, we have Pinnacle a little closer to Fliff here, but we have 3 other major sportsbooks that are all minus 140 and higher, which means they all really believe that this has a much better chance to hit the over based on the odds that they are setting than what Fliff believes it does, setting their odds at minus 120. For those of you that don't know, the higher the minus number, the more likely that outcome is to happen based off the books. The lower the minus number, the less likely that is to happen. And going down into the positives, the higher the positive number, the very much less likely that is to happen. So that's kind of how odds work. Getting this at minus 120 when the entire sportsbook market has average odds of minus 141 is a big deal. We are getting the best bang for our buck possible. Let's pretend we are placing this as a straight bet for just a second. A $100 wager at minus 120 odds profits you $83. But if we took it at the market average on another sportsbook at minus 141 odds, that $100 would only profit us $70. We win an extra $13 just placing this on Fliff at the best possible odds because the entire market said Fliff was off. That extra $13 adds up. Imagine you could find 30, 40, or 50 bets just like this every single night where you are getting an extra profit based off of you finding in line shopping for the best possible odds. It really makes a difference long-term when you're trying to profit on the sportsbooks. Now, what myself and many other Daily Grind Fantasy users like to do when playing Fliff is to compound our edge. And to do that, all you simply do is take multiple Plus EV plays and parlay them together. Now, this does come with more variance, both positive and negative, as when you're playing parlays, they are harder to hit than playing a straight bet, but compounding your edge long-term equals bigger profits long-term. And with that being said, let's go ahead and parlay this with another Plus EV play in Anthony Edwards under 5.5 assists. We just locked it in on Fliff. Now, those two plays I just showed you and parlayed together had a small edge each, right? Around 1% or less, nonetheless, Plus EV. But using Daily Grind Fantasy all day, every day, you are able to find and snipe insane plays just like this LeBron one here, under 3.5 turnovers at plus 120 odds. The two books that had lines for this was DraftKings and BetMGM, right? They had -120 and -105. Fliff clearly very far off from those two major sports books. Now, as always, the more sports books, the more data points, the better. But this being so far off from two data points that we had, at an 8% edge, there was no way I was passing this up. And so, I parlayed it with the next best value off of Daily Grind Fantasy, which was Isaiah Collier over 7.5 points at -105 odds. The entire sportsbook market that had odds and projections for this had this average odds of -125 to the over. So, they believed it had a better chance to hit than Fliff, based off of how they were setting the odds, plus EV, parlayed it, and it cashed. Now, I'm not saying you're going to hit every bet that is insane value like an 8%er, as that's just not how things work. This is still sports betting. But the bigger the edge, the better chance you have to profit long term. About one more easy to read and easy to understand example of what a plus EV bet looks like on Fliff on Daily Grind Fantasy. You can see Jordan Poole under 5.5 assists at -120 odds. You don't even have to know what the average odds across the market is. You could just simply look with your eyes at -120 on Fliff, scan the market here, and be like, one of these odds does not make sense when comparing to the rest of them. Clearly, Fliff at -120 is on an island and an outlier from the rest of the market that has average odds of -149. Place the bet. You already do stuff like plus EV betting in everyday life, and I like to call it plus EV life living, where you are comparing prices on everyday normal essential items to your life to find where you can get the cheapest price on whatever it is you're shopping for, which in turn creates savings, which is basically profit out of thin air just based off the decisions you are making when price comparing. If you're going car shopping and 5 dealerships have the same car that you're looking for and 4 of them are way more expensive than the other one, where are you going to buy your car? The cheapest lot, which means you save money and you are getting a really good value, aka bang for your buck. So I don't know why anybody that loves sports betting would do this in real life, but then not do it in sports betting where they can make easy cash long term. It just doesn't make sense, but hopefully this video has helped your light bulb go off and see why it's so valuable to be plus EV betting if you actually want to win money long term. If you did want to check out Daily Grind Fantasy and start your plus EV betting journey, I'll leave a link in the description down below, but if you use code DustinDGF20, you'll get 25% off your very first month. That's going to be it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed and or learned something. If you did, make sure you leave a like, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button on the way out as we post sports betting content like this every single week.